As promised, let's dive into these 4 moneymakers using the exact numbers from the most recent property I purchased. And let's see what kind of overall return I can expect. This video might sound like I'm bragging, and to be honest, I am. But I'm not bragging about myself, I'm bragging about real estate. I was just lucky enough to have a great mentor, and now you are too. With no further ado, let's start with cash flow. I purchased this fourplex in Logan, Utah just a few months ago. This actually is the nicest looking building that I own. I paid $560,000 for all 4 units. I put 25% down, which is $140,000. After all my closing costs, I ended up spending $142,857.65. We'll just round this up to $150,000 to make it simple. My interest rate is locked in at 3.25%, and my mortgage payment, which also includes my property taxes and insurance, totals to be $2,153.54. Now the tenants pay all of their own utilities, but I do have to pay for water usage, lawn care, snow removal, and other miscellaneous repairs and maintenance. Now so far it's been pretty much zero, but I know that I'll have repairs eventually, so I've calculated to reserve about $400 a month for all of my other expenses combined. I'll walk you through the details of how to estimate this number later in the course. Now when I bought this property, 3 units were rented at $670 a month, and 1 unit was at $725 a month. I've got 2 other buildings within about 5 minutes of here, so I know the market really well, and I was confident I'd be able to get about $1,100 per month out of each unit. 3 of the tenants were on month to month, so I could raise their rents right away, but the tenant who was paying $725 just signed their lease about 3 months earlier. So unfortunately, I can't raise their rent until their lease expires. I even tried to offer them $725 and a full deposit refund to move out, but they declined my offer. Turns out they also know that their rent is far below the market standard for this area. So that means for the first 9 months, I should expect about $4,025 in monthly income. And by adding up my mortgage payment plus my repair reserves, I'll have about $2,550 in total monthly expenses. So that leaves me with $1,475 in cash flow. Let's multiply this out over 1 year, and I should expect at least $17,700 in cash flow over the next 12 months. Since my initial investment was about $150,000, that means I can expect about an 11.8% return in cash flow. That's money that goes right into my pocket that I can use to pay my bills or use for other investments. Now, getting $1,100 per unit in rent would have been great, but that's actually not what happened. I told the current tenants I was raising rent, and all 3 tenants decided to move out at the exact same time. Of the 3 units available, I only got 1 of those rented at $1,100. On the other 2, I actually got $1,213 and $1,267, so it was even better than I expected. And in less than a year, I'll be able to increase that 4th unit to at least $1,100. So my rental income for the 2nd year should be at least $4,680 per month. And assuming the same expenses, that's going to leave me with about $25,560 in cash flow during that 2nd year. That'll become a 17% cash on cash return on my investment, just in cash flow. Let's move on to the second moneymaker, appreciation. To do this, we're actually going to look at a property I bought just down the street about 2 years earlier. I refinanced this property about a year ago to take advantage of the crazy low interest rates. And with that refinance, I got a brand new appraisal. So rather than me just guessing out of thin air what appreciation might look like in this area, I can actually give you some hard numbers to back this up. Now, this property was the 2nd property I ever purchased. I bought this property in December of 2018 for $425,000. The original appraisal confirmed that value. I refinanced this property 14 months later, and the 2nd appraisal came in at $483,000. That's an increase of $58,000 or 11.6% annually. This might sound like a fluke, but the first property I bought in Ogden increased by over 30% in 2 years, so about 15% annually. And that's also backed up with an updated appraisal from a refinance. Now, I don't think you or I should count on appreciation like this, so I'm going to dial this back and we're just going to assume 5% appreciation. I know I'm buying in a growth market, so I can safely assume that it will be slightly higher than inflation. Now, bringing it back to this most recent property I bought, I purchased this property for $560,000. With a 5% appreciation, it should be worth at least $588,000 1 year later. That would be an increase of $28,000 to my equity in the property, which also means my net worth increases by $28,000. Since my initial investment was $150,000, that ends up being about an 18.6% return on my investment and appreciation. Now the third category is pretty simple. Each month I make my $2,150 mortgage payment. A portion of that goes towards paying down my loan, which decreases my debt, and less debt means more equity. And again, more equity means more net worth. So of my $2,150 payment, $1,137 of that is interest. $325 goes towards taxes and insurance combined, but $690 is principal pay down. And that's the part that decreases my loan. So originally I had a loan for $420,000, but after that first mortgage payment, my loan was decreased by $690. Now I've only got a loan for $419,310. Now that doesn't sound like much of a dent, but paying down $690 of debt each month for a year is $8,280. With my initial investment of $150,000, that's a 5% return. What's even cooler is that since it's amortized, the same $2,150 payment will have a larger and larger portion of it going towards principal paydown each month. 5 years from now, I'll have just over $800 per month in principal paydown. 10 years from now, that'll go up to about $1,000 each month. And 20 years from now, it's gonna be about $1,300 each month. So it just keeps getting better. Let's take a break and add this up so far. In the first 3 money makers, I'm earning $17,700 in annual cash flow, $28,000 in appreciation, and $8,280 in debt paydown. That adds up to a total of $53,980. If we compare that to my $150,000 initial investment, that's a 36% return on my investment in the first year. And hopefully you're recognizing the trend that it just keeps getting better and better year after year. As I can raise my rents, I experience compound appreciation, and more of my mortgage payment goes towards principal paydown. Year 2, I should be able to clear a 40% return on my investment. Even if you only had a mediocre real estate deal and cut this return in half, an 18% return is still twice as good as my Roth IRA is getting. And with the tax write-offs, they both grow tax-free, or at least staying close to it. Now this video is getting pretty long, so we're gonna walk through the tax benefits in the next video.